Pink Ladies, T-Birds, just happen to be watchers of my My name is Jimmy Pink, and welcome to my official second channel, Nostalgia Mask. And what we're doing over here on this channel is basically discussing nostalgic things. So, reboots, old TV shows, old movies. We're not going to be talking about too much new here unless it is a reboot or a reimagining or an adaptation, which, let's face it, these days is everything. As this is starting a new channel, I guess I got to get back on my YouTube gig to tell you, please like, subscribe, turn your notification bell on. Also, I do have my own website, which is nostalgiamask.com. We specialize in all things 80s and 90s, and I just happen to be having on some of my available merchandise now with my Pink Ladies Pledge t-shirt and my custom mug. Jimmy, that's me. Okay, so let's get into it. Couple of things I want to start off very quickly with. There probably will be a full video essay of this show and how it compares to Grease once the whole series is out. But as of right now, let me just tell you I know a lot about Grease. Okay? So, the first thing I want to say before we go any further about the series, because I know a lot of people that are reviewing it, you know which ones I'm talking about. Those ones that want to be like, oh, they're being woke again. Listen. The whole story of Grease, from the play in Chicago, to Broadway, to the movie, to Grease 2, to this, is about the outcast. Okay? It has never not been about class. It has never not been about sex, gender. It's never not been about these things. So, I'm not going to say who it was. I just looked to see if there were any other reviews up yet. And one of the person, the thumbnail was like, the girl bossification, Paramount ruins another. That's not what this is. The story is about the Pink Ladies in the 50s, where girls were worried about their reputation and were treated differently because they were females. This is in Grease 1. This is for sure in Grease 2. It's here, okay? It's here. It is the story about the girl gang and the start of the girl gang. Did you think it wasn't going to have anything about female empowerment? Anyway, let's talk about the negative things that I don't like first. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Spoiler alert. I'm going to jump right out the gate with our main character, Jane. What I do not like is they made Frenchie her little sister. Now, why I don't like this, and I'm no social justice warrior, I will say there are some things that are a little bit quote-unquote woke, which is not what woke meant, and I wish people would stop saying that. But here's the problem where I have them introducing Frenchie as our main character, Jane's little sister. There is a through line going on that you will see on episode 1 and part of episode 2. I'm really just going to talk about episode 1 right now. There is a through line that she is biracial. She is half Puerto Rican and half Italian. Her Puerto Rican mother, and they're from New York, her Puerto Rican mother is really trying so hard to like eliminate anything about his spirit. Like, the mother is so like, everything you do reflects on us, and we're trying to fit in here, and we're leaving all of that in New York. Like, one of the very first scenes, we see the little sister. We are not aware that it's French yet, even though the voice will give you a clue, but I didn't catch that the first time I watched it. Um, and she's talking about her friend Betty, who is Rizzo, and she wants to get her ears pierced. And she's explaining to her mother, "But mom, you had your ears pierced in the morning." "Well, that's how they did it in Puerto Rico, honey. We're in America now. This is not New York. We're not doing that anymore." And she then begins to plead with her in Spanish. And the mother stops her and tells her, "Don't speak Spanish." The problem that I have with that, because I'm sure that is a story, again, this is set in the 50s. I'm sure that is something that probably was around and assimilating, like children can possibly pass. That would make Frenchie canonically half Puerto Rican. And I did my research because I'm like, well, I do remember in the movie Didi Khan having a little bit more color to her, which can easily just be a tan or Italian. There's 52 skin tones in the world. I looked, so I said, well, maybe Didi Khan is half Hispanic. No, she's not. So now all of a sudden, what I feel like they're not realizing about this series, and some of it they do really well, and then some of it is stuff like that where it's like, you are a prequel. So that means what you do here now becomes canon to the source material. And that bothered me. That bothered me. Um, that bothered me. It just did. Another thing that I do not like is our character of Olivia. Our character Olivia gets her bad reputation for some weird teacher student inappropriate behavior. That again, didn't we learn from Pretty Little Liars that is like so gross? But at the same time, I do see, because the basis of the show is when we are introduced to the Pink Ladies and we're introduced to the badasses that they are in Grease 1 and Grease 2, they're kind of already bad girls. They're drinking, they're smoking, they're doing what they do. They're wearing the sexier silhouettes and things like that. These girls were not bad girls. They are all here by reputation. So our main character is lied on because she's a new student, and she falls in love with the quarterback and the student president and all of these things, and she's going to be popular this year, and then she gets lied on and says she goes all the way, and she's hugely embarrassed at this pep rally, which I also thought was kind of a lot, because the pep rally was in front of parents and everything, and I was like, wow, these girls are like way meaner than like Patty Simcox ever was, or like the cheerleading twins in Grease 2, because we have our socias and our greasers. If you've watched anything that's set in the 50s with this aesthetic, The Outsiders, you know all of this already. So we have that dynamic a lot stronger here, but you have to have a lot stronger of an antagonist because this is not a 2-hour movie. This is a series. So that did have to be established. Opening number, it's free on YouTube. The first episode is actually free on YouTube as well if you want to check it out. And I do recommend it. I have to mention this right now because I'm going to go into my third thing that kind of bothered me. And it happens in episode 2 too. So they open the show very reminiscent of the original Grease movie. A little bit more risque. It's, like I said, our lead character, which his name is Jane, and Buddy Aldrich, which is her love interest. She's going to have 2 because leader of the T-Birds. Love this. I can't wait to get into that. But Buddy Aldrich. and they're in the car making out, teenagers down in the 50 lookout point type of deal. And she realizes she's a nerd and he's like the most popular guy in school. And she's like, hey, this was a great little summer fling secret relationship. Thank you for the best summer of my young life. This is what I want to do. When we get back to school, I would like to run for student council. I'd like for you to help me because we make a great team. Because they plan the pep rally. We make a great team. But I hope that we can still stay friends. She is just like gung-ho. Like, I'm a nobody. I'm a nerd. I'm not popular. You're obviously not going to date me. Well, he did. He asked her to go steady. Is this the end? No, it's only the beginning. There's a lot of nods to the original Grease. A lot. But they're done a lot more subtle than you think. The number that probably everybody is familiar with, if you're even watching this, they're interested in this show, is they do the opening number with Grease is the word. I like it. I feel like it was a necessary evil. If you're going to jump out the gate and hit a property, a franchise as iconic as Grease, who has diehard fans, not saying that like Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, and all of those ones don't. But this one is a little bit more special because there is not a whole lot of Grease. We haven't had anything else Grease since 1982. Except outside of like the live musical. But we haven't had anything, Grease 2 was the last like official in the franchise, not a redo of the Broadway show or anything like that. So I felt like it was smart to do the opening number as the theme song to Grease because it's iconic. Everybody knows it. However, I never really realized how much the words to Grease don't have very much to do with Grease.
The pig-faced pledge to act cool, to look cool, and to be cool.
And that's because the theme song to Grease was written in the 70s and it sounds like a disco song and not the 50s, 60s aesthetic of the rest of the musical, because that was something that was done for the movie that got released in 1978. So then bring it into the actual show seemed a little weird to me. But they were able to but the way the number was done, I right away got an idea who our four leads was. They each have a part. They each can sing, which is something more than we can say about any other Grease franchise outside of the musical, stage musical, or live TV musical. But the movies, no. Every Pink Lady and every T-Bird cannot sing. Let's not tell that lie. But in here, they can. And right away, you get a sense of who these four girls are. Like, immediately, you know who our four Pink Ladies are. Immediately, from the opening number. And for a musical, that is important and it's great. You get a feel for exactly how everything is. Just in that one number, you already kind of know what kind of ride you're going along for. That was great. With that being said, they use Grease as the score. Not the movie. Just the Frankie Valli song, Grease, is the word. They use the score. So when something bad happens, you get like this slow, drawn out version of it. With like violins and it was something happening. It is the one and only thing I would say took me completely out of it. Um, I watched a lot of reboots, especially if I love the source material. I definitely watched A League of Their Own, the series, and their throwbacks used to their references used to take me out of it. This movie, none of the references really took me out of it because this is a prequel. It was almost. This is probably where they got this from, if we were going in canonical order. This in particular, though, the score where anything happens, the music is Grease. I hope they stop doing that after episode 2, because that's trash. I'm sorry, it is. Let's talk about some positives. I feel like every character here is playing the hell out of their part. I really do. We got Jane the Brain. She's smart, she's nerdy, she wears glasses, but she has this reputation on her, and then she gets out of it. Comes back too because the boyfriend lied to tell her his friend, yeah, they did go all the way, even though they didn't. We have Olivia, like I said. Now Olivia is Hispanic, and Olivia's brother is Richie, and Richie is the lead T-Bird. So the T-Birds are already established. The Pink Ladies aren't, but the T-Birds are established. But Olivia is Richie's little sister. And then we have Cynthia, who, if you've seen any of the promotional material, is like our tomboy character. And like the T-Birds are her friends. Like they hang out all the time. She does shop class. She's there with them. She hangs out with them, and generally they treat her well, generally, except for, no, you can't be a T-Bird because you're a girl. So what I love is the inherent Pink Ladies being linked to the T-Birds is already built in. And we literally get that in this opening Grease number. Like, okay, you see it. Like, okay, now you see why the Pink Birds, I done made it my own group. The Pink Birds, you can see why the T-Birds and the Pink Ladies are like together in a unit, because it's built in from the beginning. This is my brother. These is my boys. And one of the T-Birds really likes Cynthia. Now, I don't know what's going to happen. I think that Cynthia is probably going to be a lesbian. She may be non-binary. She may just be a tomboy. We don't know at this point. But there is a T-Bird that really, really likes her. And like her. Which I thought was cute. Like, all this is established in episode 1. So, like, we get a lot, but you know where the story is going to go from here. So, they're going steady. She goes out with him, everything. Now it's the first day of school and the rumor hits, but she comes in singing this song's going to be different this year. That's when we find out Frenchie is her sister. Like, we find out a lot on episode 1. Like, we get Rizzo too. We get a young Rizzo too. But I don't want to bore y'all with the details. I want y'all to go see it for yourselves. I am recommending it. I think it's good. I think if y'all could all sit there and hate watch Velma, and y'all gave Velma 3 episodes, you can definitely give this the first 2, because by the end of the second one, spoiler alert again, even though we're really just talking about episode 1 today, eventually by the end of episode 2, they are officially the Pink Ladies with the jackets and everything. Okay. Let's talk about the Pink Ladies. Let's talk about the characters, period, because I feel like there's almost analogs for everybody. Jane is obviously kind of our Sandy insert, because she's new. She had just started school there last year. Olivia, I feel like, is our Marty insert, because we had the thing with Marty being She thought Vince Fontaine was trying to put an aspirin in her coat. How many years did it take y'all to know that wasn't aspirin? Because it took me a while to catch that. And I was like, oh, he was trying to roofie her, but she don't know what that is. So she's like, I caught him trying to put an aspirin in my coat. Plus, she's like really, really sexy. You know. Which she wasn't. This is just something that she said. I'm just going, y'all think I'm a slut. I'm going to just embrace it. And then she starts wearing the clothes that we're used to, like our pink ladies wearing, like very slim silhouettes and tight sweaters and heels and jive. Cynthia, honestly, I haven't figured out who her insert was yet. And I also, our last girl, what is her name? Emily, Edith, what is her name? Like, she's such a non-factor. I'm not even joking. Let me look this up. Nancy. Nancy's parents own Frosties. Nancy is just super into fashion. That is her goal. Her goal is to be a fashion designer, get accepted to this fashion school, and get out of town. Get out of this small town, go to New York City, become a big designer. So that is her whole focus. Now, she had two friends. Well, the two friends discovered they were in the boys and they want to make out and stuff, and she's just like holding on because they were all supposed to go on this plan and get their applications to go to this school together. And her friends drop her like a bad habit. She does a lot of the design, and eventually she is the person that makes the Pink Ladies jackets. I didn't see anything about her that screamed, I don't understand why she is one of the Pink Ladies, outside of the fact that her friends just dumped her. But she's supposed to make these clothes, so her clothes are a little bit, they're still, to me, they're not odd enough. Except for when she came to the pep rally with the red fringe coat with the beret with the little fringy thing that looked like a pom-poms because it was the pep rally. That was cute. And she wears cute stuff and it's outside the box, like she had on a poodle skirt, but instead of it being a poodle, it was a crab. Or like her sweaters will have like extra embellishments on it. But she was the only one that I was like, I don't see how you fell into the Pink Ladies. I don't see that, except for we needed a character because somebody had to make the jackets. We have Susan. And Susan is our Queen Soch princess and Buddy's ex-girlfriend. And she's Patty Simcox. Except for she's real nice nasty. Not that Patty Simcox wasn't, but it was just in glimpses in the movie. She's Patty Simcox. Arguably my favorite character, and I'm not even joking. Arguably my favorite character is this character that's a Soch named Dot. Now the rest of the girls are like blooming, you know, they're supposed to be the popular girls. They're the cheerleaders, and Dot is a cheerleader too. But they're all, you know, tall and pretty. And not that this girl is, I'm just saying based on what the characterizations are. And she's kind of small. She wears her hair in two pigtails. Her parents own a candy company, which I thought was a cute nod when we find that out. Which is actually not until episode 2 we find that out. But you'll notice she always has a lollipop, and her lollipop always matches her clothes. And come to find out, it's because her parents own a candy company. But she is my favorite character. First of all, she has given me all of the Dolores Rumchuck, Woodchucker Upchuck, but I prefer Dolores by Bobby Hill herself, Pamela Alden. She's given me that energy, even though she's nobody's little sister and she's a Soch. But you can always tell she's treated bad. They kind of bully her. And things will happen, and she's supposed to be on their side, and like she'll like really be loving it. Like she's loving the Pink Lady Revolution, where it's like everybody at this school is not popular, because that's what we get. It's not the rise of the Pink Ladies, it's the rise of the outcasts. It's really what it is. Which again, if you really watched Grease 1 and Grease 2, the Pink Ladies and the T-Birds are not the popular kids in school. They're not. Really go back and watch the movies. They're the outcasts. They're not the popular kids in school. They are not the popular kids in school. This is just put it in your face like they're not the popular kids in school. But Dot is just a treat and a half. Like every time they do something, like there's a part where she runs for student president. I think that's episode 1. I'm getting a blur because I watched both. But when Jay makes her big speech, like it's not fun for everybody here. It's people here that are outcasts and are different, and most of us are not popular. Think Lainey Boggs, she's all that vibes. She's like, whoa! Then they look at her and they turn back to her. She's like, boo! She is a hoot and a half. She is my favorite character right now. She's not even a pink lady, but she is my favorite character right now. But she's really giving me that vibe. And then, like I said, we haven't seen much, but I'm sure we will see Frenchie and Rizzo again, and possibly maybe even Marty and Jan. Let's talk about some of the musical numbers. Different this year was Cute, and that comes down and becomes a reprise once the 4 girls decide like they're gonna run together and they're gonna be friends. Because at the beginning, these 4 girls don't even associate with each other. Even though Cynthia hangs out with Olivia's brother, who is the leader of the T-Birds, they're not really friends. Olivia is like a loner. She's always by herself. Cynthia is always with the T-Birds. Like I said, the girl, this is a shame. That's how impactful her character is. As you can see, the person that made the jacket, Nancy. Nancy is always with her 2 friends that are boy crazy now. And then Jane is a new student, so I don't know if when she came in to the school year, that she didn't seem to have any friends prior to this either. So they're kind of all 4 outcasts that came together. And we have the Pink Ladies. Now, by the end of this, we definitely see that the 4 of them are a unit. They are not officially the Pink Ladies yet. They do not have jackets. That does not happen until episode 2. But how they get together, and I'll save that for a treat, because that is a musical number called Shake Off the Good Girl Act, and it's basically Olivia, who has a reputation, who has been ostracized, sees Jane, and the same thing happening to her, and kind of changes the narrative while they're in home. Megan was like, no, this is what really happened about Jane. My cousin lives in New York, and of course it's a number. It's not a bad number. None of the numbers are bad. None of the numbers are bad. They're just getting used to, because we are so familiar with the numbers from Grease that we're gonna want to compare them. And I'm not 100% sure that's fair, except for in one case. And it is the next number I get, which is Cynthia, who actually has, I was surprised by that. I'm like, you got the tomboy character, has my favorite singing voice. Cynthia comes to the guys, I want to be a T-Bird. They're like, what? No, you don't want to be a T-Bird. You can't be a T-Bird, you're a girl. So she starts, this number that's called The New Cool. This is my favorite number so far. This is actually my favorite number so far. We do have some dream sequences, and I will tell you that some of the stuff that becomes dream sequency is a little much. You keep the numbers more basic, like actual Grease, like the first opening number of Grease, and even this number in Home Ec, the number's called Shake Off the Good Girl Act, where that was just like in the home ec room, and they were just dancing with the, the props they were using were like stuff that were in the home ec room. This one is giving me dream sequence too, but I will tell you right now, it's Grease Lightning. It's Grease Lightning. It's Grease Lightning. Y'all said we needed a T-Bird number. It's Grease Lightning with a girl. It's Grease Lightning. They do the whole, we're the new cool. We got the sexy cars. We're the ones, the social good boys is about to be out anyway. It's our turn to step up. They're talking about the cars. They start off in the garage with the traditional like Rydell overalls, like we know from OG Grease. And they're dancing, and she's explaining to him like we should be at the top of the heap. At the same time, she's basically explaining why she should also be a T-Bird. And it's because we need to get, revenge on these preppies, because something did happen where that was an issue. I'm not going to explain and tell y'all about every single point. But it goes dream sequence. And like they all got on like black T-Bird jackets and white t-shirts and jeans and they little black Chuck Taylors, including her. And then she's got like the hairstyle like this. And like when it goes to that part, that was my shit. I'm sorry. Ooh, I'm not supposed to swear on this channel. That I was like, okay, I'm here for this number. But then like they end up doing this thing where at the end it's not a car, but they're doing like a motion, like they're driving away in a car and then they're back in the garage. It's Grease Lightning. That one, you guys made that undeniable. You can't not compare it. And it's not Grease Lightning. Grease Lightning is iconic. This is not iconic, even though it is my favorite number as far as performance, musical composition, how it was presented in the show. It is my favorite. I believe the last number that we have is a reprise of It's Going to Be Different This Year. And this is once the four girls get together. Again, some references. They're at the student council assembly, I guess. And Jane makes this speech. The other three girls decide they are going to endorse her for student council because you're right. Everybody is not popular. They all feel like outcasts at this point. They stand with her. And they moon everybody. What I forgot to say is the T-Birds did this earlier with Cynthia at the pep rally. She's the only one that got caught because they had on mascot heads and her head fell off. Again, this kind of gives us so the T-Birds, mooning at American Bandstand. Oh, sorry, National Bandstand. This is like precedent. Like this is just like a T-Bird thing that we do. We moon people like. But it started with Cynthia's. It was Cynthia's idea to begin with. I thought that was kind of cool. And they do that. They jump in the car again. The connections. It's well done, you guys. I have a lot of complaints about it because I feel so strongly about Grease, but I really enjoy it. I'm into it. I'm in for the ride. It made so much sense that Cynthia, like when they run and they trying to run out the auditorium so they don't get in trouble, they run to the T-Bird's car. Cynthia knows where the keys is. And Olivia knows how to drive the car because we see her driving them in. Another throwback. The T-Birds in the trunk to the drive-in so they don't have to pay for everybody, and Olivia is the one that drove them in. So we know she has her driver's license and she knows how to drive that car. And Cynthia, being with them all the time, would know where the keys were hid. So they all jump in the car and ride off. And then they all get to, I'm not sure whose house they're at. I'm sorry, I forgot. But then we go into Different This Year reprise, which now makes sense because at first Jane was singing It's Going to Be Different This Year with all this hope. She was in love. She had a boyfriend. She was going to be popular. And now it's going to be different this year because I got these friends. We just want to be ourselves. And it was great. And they all go into the bedroom and they're singing and they're talking. And then weird dream sequencey type stuff that I believe is supposed to be like a callback to Beauty School Dropout. Because all these girls come out of the closets in silver tuxedos and top hats with 2023 kawaii pink and baby blue hair, wigs, and dance around with them. Like, it's stuff like that that I'm like, see, y'all go too far. We didn't need that part in the number. The way it was fine. With them just deciding they were all going to be together and singing that song, that was enough. The number didn't need to have anybody else in it except for the four girls. Where these tuxedo chorus of kawaii tap dancing magicians came out, I don't know. I think if they can rein some of that in, there's definitely a section like that in episode 2. That again, I won't talk about that too much, but there is probably my favorite number as far as my favorite song so far. And it's a solo with Jane, but the way they staged it and choreographed it, and the fact that the stuff in the background is actually making noises, I'm just like, see, this was a good number. This is in her head. This is not really happening. You didn't need all of this hearing the lockers fly open and whooshes because paper is coming out the lockers. Like, you didn't need all of that. It's a musical. We know this is not happening. We know this is in her head. Didn't need all that. But I digress. 35 minutes, I think, is plenty enough to talk about that. But I just wanted to do a little bit more in-depth of a review for people that like really wanted to talk about the show, because I know I do. So leave your comments down below. I'll respond to them. How do you feel about the show? Like, I'm into it. I'm down to ride, man. I'm down to ride. Like, I've rolled with worse. You know, I gave the Gospel Girl reboot a try. I watched the whole first season of that. I did not come back for season 2. Velma, you got 3 episodes out of me. So as somebody that has been a lifelong Grease fan, and I do mean a lifelong Grease fan because Grease's anniversary is this year. It will be turning 45, as will I. So when I tell you as a lifelong Grease fan, I mean just that. My whole entire life. I felt like I had enough knowledge and enough gumption to talk about it. Now, this is my first video, and if y'all know me from my other channel, you guys know I don't really do scripted. I kind of go off the cuff. But for episode 2, I was really going to do 1 and 2 together, but I ran out of time, and it is Easter weekend, and I have events all weekend. In fact, I'm late for something now, taping this. So I really just wanted to get the first video out, but we'll have more structure throughout the rest of the season. And I said once we get everything done, I probably will get into some themes and actually do a video essay regarding the show and the themes and how it connects to the rest of Grease, and maybe even some chronological order shit, because somebody got to do it. Y'all do it for every other show. Why can't I do it for Grease? To the point where I forgot, if you're new to this channel and I greeted y'all with Pink Ladies T-Birds, how many watchers am I? Shh. I've been saying that for a decade over on the other channel. That's just what I call my followers. That's how much I love Grease. So thank you so much for watching, and keep it greasy. Deuces.